What's up, clever masterminds? Clever Boy 86 here. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 3, which is titled Warning Signs. So, this review will contain spoilers for the latest episode of The Walking Dead. So, if you haven't seen it yet, don't watch this review because it will contain spoilers. But anyways, I thought this was another amazing episode. Season 9 has been amazing so far. The premiere was a little bit slow, but it was still a really great episode. Episode 2 really picked things up, and this episode really picked things up. So yeah, Season 9 has been amazing so far. But yeah, anyways, so at the beginning of this episode, we get confirmation that Justin is dead. Because at the end of episode 2, we saw Justin leaving the camp after Rick kicked him out. And at the very end of the episode, he gets knocked out, but we don't see who it is that knocks him out. But we got confirmation at the beginning of this episode that Justin is dead, and we see him roaming around as a walker. We also find out in this episode that Oceanside has been killing the Saviors, and that's why some of them have gone missing. So we'll get to all that in a minute. But we got this really happy montage of Rick with Michonne and Judith. And I just thought that was a really great scene because it's probably one of the last times that we'll see Rick with Judith. Because as we all know, Andrew Lincoln is exiting the show in episode 5. So yeah, it's probably one of the last times we'll see Rick playing with Judith. But it was just a really happy scene. We also see Rick and Michonne talking about having a baby. And I could definitely see that happening. There's rumored to be another time skip coming up in a couple episodes. And like a really big time skip, like 5 or 6 years. So maybe after the time skip has happened, we'll see that Michonne actually got pregnant and had a baby, and her son, or could be a daughter, is now like 4 or 5 years old. So that could be pretty interesting. But yeah. Anyways, so we also see things get heated between Maggie and a savior named Jed. And we see Jed and a couple other saviors walk out onto the road where Maggie is delivering food to the sanctuary on horseback. And Jed takes like a tomato out of the carriage and he starts eating it. And we see a little bit of tension between them. And we also see a fight break out at the camp between ex-saviors and some of the survivors. And I remember seeing pieces of this fight in the Comic-Con trailer that was released a few months ago. And I remember just being really excited to see this scene. And he stops it before it can go any further. I just loved that. He just like rides up on his horse. But yeah. And I loved how it felt natural. Like, this was a real human conflict. It wasn't like this big, huge battle where people are shooting at each other, like what we got in season 8. You know, it actually felt natural, and I just loved that. You know, everything just kind of built up to this moment, and it felt natural, and I loved that. But anyway, so we also get a scene with Rick and Daryl, and they have a heart-to-heart. And Daryl said one line that I thought was a really great line. So he's basically angry that Rick's letting the saviors live, and he says something along the lines of, how come these people get to live and Glenn doesn't, or Abraham, or Sasha? I thought that was a really great line. And yeah, so it was nice to hear Glenn's name mentioned. And yeah, I miss Glenn. Um, but yeah, so Daryl and Rick kind of a heart to heart, and Daryl, he respects Rick as a leader, but he just thinks that Rick is wrong for letting the Saviors live and letting Negan live, and yeah. So, anyways, also we had some scenes with Rick and Carol in this episode, and there's one scene where Rick and Carol come into conflict with Jed and another savior. I forget his name. But Jed holds Carol at knife point, and he orders Rick to drop his gun. But Carol stabs Jed, but she doesn't kill him. And Jed's like, "Why not just kill me?" And Carol says, "Because every life matters." And I think that just really shows how far Carol's come. Because, like, if this was Carol, a few seasons ago, she would have just killed both of them. But she actually lets them live. And I think that just shows how far she's come. But yeah, anyway, so we also see Anne return to the junkyard. And she's speaking to someone on a walkie-talkie. And the person that she's talking to asks if she has an A or a B. And she says that she has neither. And the man that she's talking to demands an A. And Father Gabriel has followed her, and he finds her talking to this man on the walkie-talkie. And he kind of questions her, and Anne knocks him out. So yeah, really great scene. I think A and B stand for Alpha and Beta, two characters from the comics who I think we'll be seeing in the show very soon. Yeah, so really interesting scene. And yeah. So anyways, then we find out that Oceanside has basically been killing saviors. And we finally found out in this episode why Oceanside wanted to fight the saviors in season 8. And it was because Simon killed Beatrice's husband and Cindy's brother, who was only 11 years old. And Cindy basically has Arat on her knees, and Arat's begging for her life. And it's revealed that Arat said to Cindy's brother before she killed him, "No exceptions," which was what Negan said to Glenn in the season 7 premiere before he killed him. And yeah, so Daryl and Maggie basically see Cindy about to kill Arat, and Cindy tells them that Arat killed her brother when he was only 11 years old. And Daryl and Maggie walk away, and Cindy shoots Arat in the back of the head. And I thought that was a really great scene. And it made sense. We finally found out some backstory behind Oceanside, because they were useless in season 8. And yeah, so we finally found out some of the backstory. And they could have explained that in season 8, but I'm glad that we finally got some answers in this episode. But anyways, so basically at the end of the episode, Maggie and Daryl go to Alexandria to kill Negan. And Maggie's been trying to do the right thing, and she's trying not to give in to her drive to kill Negan. But it makes perfect sense why she would want Negan dead. It just kind of eats at her that Negan got to live, but Glenn didn't. And, it makes perfect sense, because Negan killed her husband, and because of Negan, Maggie's baby doesn't have a father. So it makes sense why she would want Negan dead. But yeah, so Maggie and Daryl basically go to Alexandria, and Maggie tells Daryl that they gave Rick's Way a chance, but now it's time to go see Negan. So really excited to see how that all plays out. I think it's going to be really intense. And yeah, so, anyways, I thought this episode was a really amazing episode. And I feel like they covered a lot of ground in this episode. And yeah, like this is how a Walking Dead episode should be done. This is a perfect example of how to make a good Walking Dead episode. But yeah, anyways, I love this episode. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was amazing. And yeah, I'm kind of dreading episode 5 because that's going to be Rick's final episode. So I'm kind of dreading it, but at the same time, I can't wait to see it. So yeah. Anyways, we've got episode 4 coming up on Sunday, and then after that, it's Rick's final episode, which is insane. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for my review of The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 4, titled The Obliged. That'll be coming next week, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah. Anyways, that's it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all for the next one. Alright, bye guys.